Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TD1 TV podcast, where we shine a spotlight on the absurd, the reckless, and the flat-out incompetent. We're going to honor the worst of the worst with our very own Incomptitude Award. This week's winner, none other than Kristi Noem, Secretary of Homeland Security. Now, you think the person in charge of protecting the homeland would know a little thing about, law and bring expertise to the table. But according to Politico, Noem was basically installed as a figurehead while the real power over immigration and security was run out of the White House by Stephen Miller and Tom Homan, the border czar, the new border czar. Translation: she was set up to fail, and boy, did she ever deliver. Then came the NPR bombshell where Noem used TSA staff, cameras, and federal resources to film what was essentially a campaign ad to be broadcasted at all airports near you, any airport. That's just not sloppy. It ended up being a hashtag violation. Homeland Security isn't supposed to be a prop for any political ambitions. And let's not forget MSNBC's reporting under her watch, the administration flirted with suspending habeas corpus, which she did not know the definition to. One of the most fundamental rights in American law. Imagine that. Secretary of Homeland Security standing by while constitutional protections were put on the chopping block. So let's recap. Unqualified for the job, misused federal resources, being complicit in undermining civil liberties. That's a trifecta for failure, ladies and gentlemen. Kristi Noem, congratulations. You have earned this week's TD1 TV podcast Incomptitude Award. And may this award be as hollow as your resume. Here's the thing, folks. This isn't just about one person's incompetence. It's about what happens when incompetence becomes the operating system for an entire administration. Because while Noem is busy filming campaign reels and failing left and right, the White House administration is sending federal National Guard troops to Chicago, LA, and other various cities in the United States and unleashing ICE profiling tactics that target people of color. And be careful, black folk. You might look Haitian. You might be a little bit too dark. So they'll be profiling you to see if you aren't an immigrant or not as well. Outside of our other brown brothers and sisters south of the border. So according to NPR, these ICE actions are sparking a new wave of political activism in Chicago. And the NAACP has called it an egregious attack on black and brown communities. Families are being detained in the middle of the night, not for safety reasons, but for immigration. So let's dig more into that. And to do it, I want to bring in my partner in crime, the one and only Tori Jacobs. Tori, you've been following this closely. How are you doing, first of all, before we even get started in this? How are you doing?
I'm pinching myself, just like, okay, is this real? Is this a dream? But hey, this isn't my first rodeo with this administration.
I mean, so what are your thoughts of first of all, our beloved Incomptitude Award being bestowed upon our Secretary of Homeland Security?
I mean, she gets it, but
there's plenty of
there was stiff competition for that award. Like,
yes.
Again, I really feel like that is a byproduct of the Kool-Aid that has been drank by this entire system of things. And I can't say even one particular party because nobody's standing up. Nobody seems to be standing up. When I look at the incompetence at the top is fueling the dangerous moves on the ground, like you cannot, that's unconstitutional to use the U.S. military to police its own. You know, that's we have laws in place that have been there since the fabric was of this country to was pen to paper to, from the inception, so that things like this could not take place. So to watch it happen, and we're giving the awards out to individuals because they say what the entire party is thinking and believing.
They're
We
saying the
can't
quiet
just
part
look
out
at
loud.
it's not an
Yeah.
individual.
Yeah.
It's concerning.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
concerning.
I'm just it it bewilders me to see such incompetence, and not just that, it's mixed with lies, like outright
Mhm.
non-factual lies, and
Yeah.
it's being used for news cycles on one end of the spectrum, so that
Mhm.
when it's played on the other end of the spectrum, it looks like it's a damn, like we're living in the parallel universe. Like they're living
Exactly.
in we're Superman, and they're living in I don't know, fucking bizarro world or something.
And it's sad because that's exactly what happens anytime there is a totalitarian type of government. They take over and they create a narrative, and they change how the people see themselves.
Yeah,
Okay? For real. I mean, it's normal, but that's the control. It's the mind control. It's the keeping the people under the thumb so that they can have the authority to do whatever. Because now, like for real, my aunt was saying she was sitting at a light when she saw ICE pull up and get these two women at a bus stop and just pull off, and she was frozen, and she carries a degree of um, guilt for having not done anything. But like, what do you do?
yeah,
What do you do? But we have to do something.
yeah. And I
Um,
think I think one of the main things is for people like you and me and others who might be listening to this podcast is ask questions, and
mhm,
don't accept one source. I
mhm,
believe that's part of the problem, because if you look at the history of the Republican Party in these last 4 election cycles, they
mhm,
have repeatedly gone after non-college educated white men, right?
mhm,
Those people who are more susceptible to be told something and believe it without checking resources or sources, period.
mhm, mhm,
If you look at it, like look at the spectrum, the overwhelming majority of Democratic voters are college educated, which they're using now as a war on woke
mhm,
to
mhm,
actually fuel more fear and flames on
mhm.
another part of a party that is not so how shall I say have those critical thinking mannerisms like most people do. And a lot of people aren't college educated. However, the ones that are know actually what critical thinking is, right? Knowing a source, seeing a source, asking questions, getting references. That's critical thinking.
It's not even for, I mean, like the college education is a bonus, and that's just, you preparing to go and work for somebody. The fabric of humanity is helping your brother. So you don't even have to have an education to know that as a people, if you got any kind of belief system and know right is right, wrong is wrong, that you give a cup of water to somebody who cannot give their own. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not cutting fundamental basic rights in a country where there is an abundance. Now, it would be different if we were someplace where you couldn't even, you didn't have the option to eat out the trash can. But in America, we throw away so much, so much, so much.
Yeah. We
So
throw
we
away
have,
food, knowledge, money.
yeah, all of it, all the resources we have them. So in a country where it's overran with resources, why are you wanting to cut fundamental life essential resources like food, clothing, and shelter, medication to the sick. Why are you wanting to cut those things? And if you're an uneducated demographic of society, that ain't, you ain't got to have education to know that you're supposed to do that.
Yeah.
So that makes you wonder what's really going on.
Yeah, and just to kind of tap on what you were saying, to kind of segue about the food and the food services of people that need. We're undergoing week 4 of a federal government shutdown, and it's like they want to use the shutdown for political speaking points when food aid for 42 million people are going to be cut in November. 42 million. That is almost, I'd say, a little less than half of the actual people that voted in this last election. So, and my point being is, they're trying to do this to punish people of color when actually the poorest people that they are punishing are many of their rural constituents. Exactly.
They get all the aid.
Exactly.
They get all the food stamps. They get all the farm
exactly.
aid. It's them but they have drank the Kool-Aid and they have bought into the propaganda that, these aren't kind people. These are gang people. They're gang related. And I live in America now. I ain't never had one interaction with an MS-13, any of that they are justifying half of this stuff and saying that, they're the problem and they're ridding the country of that. And I'm like, I live here. That has not been my experience. So, I mean, I ain't saying that doesn't exist, but to actually say that you're going to really police a whole nation to get rid of that particular demographic of what you're saying is a problem in a system where...
And you're hurting the entire system. They're responsible for 70% of our produce production. They work on the farms. Now, they tried to roll back and say, well, that can happen. Anybody can get on, can pull these products and pick all these vegetables. No fucking thank you. We did that for 100 years, and 100 years after this country was started. No, we will not be working.
It ain't enough of us to do it to produce enough for the whole society. That was one thing. That was when y'all got millions and millions of free labor. You almost wiped us out as far as a reproductive member of society because of mass incarceration and because of the
racism,
the breaking up of the family unit. So we're down to like 13-14% of society. So you couldn't even we couldn't do that to feed all y'all, and y'all a little lazy. But I ain't gonna say that, but it ain't even that. I mean, all they have to do is look back at COVID.
Yeah.
Once nobody,
who was the essential workers?
Going bad because there was no one to harvest.
Yeah.
So I have a theory on that. I think they probably think that they can replace that manual labor with robots, and that's why they're not worried about deporting, or because they really want to turn up the dial on mass incarceration and fill some of those prisons that have been negotiated in South America to be built, and they are planning on filling them with domestics. You know what I'm saying? There's always something else behind it.
Yeah,
always.
I mean, just like I said, we're living in a time where it's almost like we have two parallel news outlet sources that play at the same time of day, and there are people that should know better, right? Fox News used to be an accredited news corporation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when it, I don't really know when it came political, because I remember watching Fox News before my first deployment to Iraq when President Bush was in office, and they was dogging his ass. They you had some people that were, his sympathizers, but the majority of Fox News, CNN, NBC, ABC, CBS, they were wearing President Bush ass out. on
But
a
then
daily basis.
they had never had a black president, so there had to be a strong line drawn in the
Yeah,
sand.
and that's what I was going to say. When Barack Obama became president,
Yeah.
Fox News was posting all of these Tea Party events
Mhm.
where they
Yeah.
was having people show up with a hanging mannequin
Yeah.
of a black man with the monkey's face
Hmm.
and saying we don't want a thug as a president. That was their way of saying we don't want a nigger as a president.
That part.
Can
Yeah.
I say that? Yeah, this is my show. I can say what. But anyway,
Okay.
yeah, that was their way of saying that, man.
Mhm.
And just think, even when Trump's first administration, there was an
Mhm.
overwhelming. It looked like a fucking Klan rally was parked outside of some of these arenas where he was doing his little campaigns
It
events.
wasn't like
They
he
had
appointed the heads of those organizations.
yes, I mean
You
Stephen
can't
Miller.
put what's his name, Bannon
Yeah,
and
Steve Bannon
Duke
was
in
all
those
of these people.
positions and not be. He's so quietly.
Yeah, they were doing it. They was doing that shit quiet, and they was moving in silence. And when people was asking, "Well, what about all the neo Nazis that are at your campaign events outside?" Well, they're not inside.
They're
I
good
beg to
people
fucking
too,
different.
just like Charlottesville.
Yeah. The same thing, the
Fine
exact
people.
same thing. There were fine people
Mhm.
on
They
both
were
sides of
fine
the
people.
aisle. So, yeah, you're looking at this, and I, if you think about it, this is happening right in front of us.
Real time.
Real time, where Americans are being separated by
Mhm.
their moral compass and ignorance at the same time.
And we
crazy.
cannot, because we cannot. If we do, you can feel the
Baby, you
thickness
sound like you
in
about to
the
get
air
that.
in
You sound like you about to get
societies
that
that don't
PTSD.
do anything.
You sound like that PTSD about to set in.
It is, man. No, I'm gonna be good because of my faith system, my belief system. But I know we cannot just sit and talk about it and
Yeah.
watch people disappear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We know that there is a sect of society that is that evil,
Yeah.
that has wiped out other societies. Native Americans are almost gone. African Americans are almost gone. Okay. Now we have Mexican and South. It just
Any
just
person of color.
disappearing.
They're
Persons of color. And if we sit and watch, because yes, the genocide that happened with Hitler and the Nazi regime, that propaganda included African. If that those big those white, they wasn't just look, and it'll start with a particular sect, and then they program everybody and say, okay, and they're the problem too. Oh, and they're the problem too. And then you're gonna be the problem too in a minute. It's viral and it's contagious and it spreads like wildfire.
Yeah.
And anytime you see somebody do something to somebody else, trust me, they will do it to you if that opportunity presents itself. So we can't sit around and act like this is a black thing or a white thing or a brown thing or a green thing. No, this is a fundamental humanitarian issue.
Yeah. And an American thing.
It's an American thing.
I talk and joke all the time about all the stupid shit that they do on the right? And the incompetent shit that they do on the right, and the whining, all of the whining and no non-acting on the left. I do that shit for everybody, right? Everybody gets to smoke with me.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I'm not against you. We may disagree. I don't hate you.
At all.
We might disagree, but if something was to happen to you in front of me, I would put my life on the line to save you.
That's it.
How many people can do that? How many people can say that? None. We're so fucking fucking caught up in.
And you may even have a heart and believe that that's what you're gonna do, but when the circumstances, you're gonna fight or you're gonna flight.
Yeah.
It's just it is. That's human nature.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, how many people can do that, man? And I always I'm always in this show like this. You know,
Okay.
we keep each other, you know, we like to keep our listeners informed, and we like to do a little political satire. We like to tell jokes, curse, do whatever, you know. However, at the end of the day, man, we have to become a nation again at a point. And I believe it starts with laughing. Making, you know, still knowing what the fuck is going on, but laughing, right? Putting joy in your heart. Because if you can laugh together, you can live together. And if you can live together, you can love each other. And that's going to be what we represent here on the TD1 TV podcast, man. Our time is about up. And golly, I wish we could keep talking.
I know, right? I know, right?
Yeah.
But we're going to save it for the people next time.
Yes,
yes. Listen, they keep giving us good raw material. Unfortunately,
oh my gosh.
I wish we had nothing to report.
I know. Well, I don't, because I wouldn't have a show. But I mean, if you think about it, right? What this administration has done for 2 straight administrations. Well, not straight, because they, you know, the in between Biden's term is delivered to comedians and people like me nothing but material. I mean, you can't make some of the shit up that they do here. And it's not that we're picking on them. We're making people see, hey, this is real, but this is fucking bananas.
I mean, we have to laugh to keep from crying, but man, this stuff will make you cry till you laugh. It's like, whoa.
Yes, like real quick before we go, man, I just want to play this one clip of our Homeland Secretary. She's going to give us her definition of what habeas corpus is.
Okay.
In real time. Oh my gosh. Habeas corpus Christy Nome. And this is easy to damn Google right here. Christy. Am I spelling her name right? Yeah. Let me pull this. I'm gonna pull this video up for our viewers real quick.
You got a KRISTINOEM.
Yeah. So let me see if I can make sure it's on. I'm gonna pull this up for our viewers, and let them see exactly what I'm talking about. Right? Hold on, just a second. Let me see if I can hear this. Here we go. Yep. Here we go.
So, Secretary Nome, what is habeas corpus?
Well, habeas corpus is a constitutional right that the president has to be able to remove people from this country, suspend their right to.
Let me stop you, ma'am. Habeas corpus, excuse me, that's incorrect.
President Lincoln used it.
Excuse me. Habeas corpus is the legal principle that requires that the government provide a public reason for detaining and imprisoning people. If not for that protection, the government could simply arrest people, including American citizens, and hold them indefinitely for no reason. Habeas corpus is the foundational right that separates free societies like America from police states like North Korea. As a senator from the Live Free or Die state, this matters a lot to me and my constituents and to all Americans. So, Secretary Nome, do you support the core protection that habeas corpus provides, that the government must provide a public reason in order to detain and imprison someone?
Yeah, I support habeas corpus. I also recognize that the President of the United States has the authority under the Constitution to decide if it should be suspended or not.
It has never.
Let us be clear.
It has never been done. It has never been done without approval of Congress. Even Abraham Lincoln got retroactive approval from Congress.
That should scare people. That should. I mean, it's funny when you look at, but that should scare the shit out of people. And not only has she shown this incompetence once, but multiple times on a world stage. You know, it's funny in the beginning, but when you think about it, man, what if somebody in George W. Bush's administration was this incompetent, right? Media outlets were blasting their ass, so there was some incompetence. However, the Gates the what do you call those? The safety gates were up
Yeah,
in place. There were
yeah.
plenty other
Absolutely.
there were plenty other competent people. But with this administration, it ain't no fucking rails nowhere. Like this car is all over the road, and I want to get out right here. This is my stop.
Listen, seriously, I'm actually looking abroad.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I've been expatriate.
gosh.
I'm just kidding.
Oh,
No, we're not going to let it happen. Our
Yeah.
God is bigger than all of this here, and I think that this season is necessary for exposure of a way of people. There are too many fair-minded of every ethnicity in this country to allow this kind of mess to happen. Like, we were cool because it's like, all right, it's an administration. We ain't gonna let that happen. But as we clearly see, laws are being changed, and that's the only way to affect change. But I do believe that there are enough people who live next door to one another, who love each other in spite of, because that's what love is, that will not sit passively by and allow America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, to become everything or anything other than that. I believe in our people too much for that.
Yeah, I definitely believe it. So we're gonna go ahead and sign off. Remember, people at home, it's for this is it. This is what we do, right? So you have to always remember to stay engaged and keep calling out incompetence wherever you see it, right?
Ever.
So
And show up. Show
I'm
up.
gonna leave you with that. I'm gonna leave you with that little nugget, man. So
Yeah.
I'm Theron Davis, and with me is again the wonderful Tori Jacobs, and we are signing off for the TD1 TV podcast. And we were saying see you next week.
And stay sharp, stay engaged, and keep calling out incompetence whenever you see it.
Amen.
Okay.